Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
As a sixth-year senior, Aaron Brule has seen just about everything on the football field. But over the last year, he has had to cope with life's hardest realities off the field, from the death of a former coach to seeing one of his childhood friends be diagnosed with cancer. Our Tyler Driesinga has more on the perspective Brule has gained through this tragedy.
Aaron Brule grew up in the West Bank of New Orleans and developed a passion for football through watching his older brother.
He would have park ball games and things like that. I'd be on the sidelines just really in a full uniform. I would be like 3 or 4 years old, but I'd be full uniformed up, just running after him up and down the sidelines when he'd be running on the field.
Brule says his entire family has always supported him, and he speaks especially admirably of his grandparents, Consuelo and Chris Duplessis.
My grandpa served in Vietnam 4 years, and he did 4 years in Vietnam. My grandmother did 25 years in the Air Force. I don't know if I'm like a mama's boy, daddy's boy, if I'm a boy of anything, I feel like I am a grandma's boy. Her and my parents, they always get into it because she tends to be the more babying of them both. And she actually comes to a good bit of the games and things like that. And I guess lean toward her because she's just shown that she can do anything.
How has their military experience shaped the atmosphere that you grew up in and the person that you've become?
I think that if I wasn't playing football, or even if football was to end earlier for me, I think you have like until you're like 27 or 28 to enlist or something like that. I actually would definitely give it a great thought to join the military. And I've always said if I didn't play football, I would go to the military or something like that. So it's definitely something that weighs heavy on my mind all the time, and I support people within that realm of life.
Brule's tough-nosed upbringing shows up in his style of play. But in the last calendar year, the hard-hitting linebacker has also had to tackle a host of emotional challenges off the field.
I actually don't really have time to feel sorry for myself. So there's also other people grieving, obviously, in these situations. And I always just say that if I got it bad, somebody else obviously probably has it worse.
Brule began his collegiate career at Mississippi State in 2018. 2 years later, one of college football's most colorful characters made his way to Starkville, head coach Mike Leach.
What did you enjoy about Coach Leach?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of stuff that I could really harp on with Coach Leach, but I really liked his realistic standpoint about everything. He didn't sugarcoat anything, but at the same time, it was just very random things that he would talk about. He loved multiple things. He loved people. You can have a 3-hour-long conversation about everything except football. So that was really nice to be able to piggyback off of things that he taught.
Brule played 2 years for Coach Leach before transferring to Michigan State. Last December, news came that shocked Brule and the college football world. Mike Leach had died suddenly due to complications from a heart condition.
I was here, and I didn't necessarily. I knew he had some sickness and things like that, but he's one of those guys that, like, if he's sick, he's still gonna pull through and do what he can. And when I did hear the news, I was like, wow, I couldn't really believe it at the time, but I was like, wow, he definitely left, knowing that he left the impact on every part of sports. Rather, it could be any sport. He talks about every sport. So I mean, I feel all across the nation, people really felt when he passed away, and he left everybody with a positive thought. There's nobody with negativity that you can really say about him in any way.
Brule says Leach's sudden passing gave him a new perspective on how fast things can change. It's a perspective that's been reinforced this fall through a tragic circumstance involving his childhood friend, Greg Brooks. Brooks, a safety at LSU, was a starter and team captain just over a month ago. But today, he's facing a long road to recovery after being diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer.
I actually grew up with him, and those things like that, I mean, he was playing, he played like 70 snaps versus Florida State, and they said he'd be going home and throwing up all over the floor and things like that. It seems like he's got a long road ahead, but I'm very confident in God and things that the people around him will get him through this.
Toughness through tragedy has defined the last calendar year for Aaron Brule. Through everything that's happened, he's held fast to a belief he's capable of overcoming anything, an approach to adversity that goes back to his upbringing.
Where does that mentality come from, that I can get through anything? Where does that mentality and that strength come from for you?
I guess being a little older and mature, that's one of them. And obviously it definitely comes from my family. My grandpa, grandma, all military. So they've always had like a pretty hard-nosed ability to take on tasks and things like that. And no excuses is really their motto. So my grandma is definitely a very soft person for her grandkids and stuff, but she also understands that life comes with lessons and things happen, and she's definitely there to maul you when you need to be mauled and help you and love on you when you need to be loved on. So, yeah, I think that's where that comes from.
Brule says the outpouring of support for Coach Leach and Mississippi State meant the world to him and believes Coach Leach will always be remembered for his extremely funny personality. Well, as for Michigan State's acting head coach Harlan Barnett, we're going to be sitting down with him to see how the bye week treated him this past week.
This segment is sponsored by MSU Healthcare.